Welcome to segment 6, and our guest this evening is Ed Ronkowski, chairman of the Will County Republican Central Committee, and Brian, intern guy, has made a return appearance here. And we're going to be talking tonight something we didn't get around to talking about in the show, and that is the omnibus bill, which I find really offensive that the Republicans totally caved in. So we'll talk about that, and Ed's going to kind of give us a tip on how we should be choosing candidates, how we can find out what the best candidate is that represents our point of view. So is that fair?
Yeah, that's fair.
That's fair. I think probably we ought to start with the omnibus bill, though, because that, and I've said, it seems like we say this every show, we elected all of these people who told us they were going to go to Washington and clean everything up, landslide victory. You could still have a Democrat. Reid could still be in charge of the Senate.
You and I didn't elect all these people. You voted for your congressman, I voted for my congressman. My congressman is Bobby Rush. He has American Conservative Union rating of 22. He's one of the most wasteful, tax and spend persons in the entire United States. All I can say about Bobby Rush is he's a man of convictions. Now the omnibus bill, I looked it up. Normally these bills are passed where I give you a favor, you give me a favor, back and forth, and then bill just turns into a big Christmas tree and it's over $1 trillion. And I started looking at all the favors. Well, they were given as all these extra money for environmental groups, extra money for the United Nations, extra money for this and that. And what did they give the Republicans? Well, they delisted the sage grouse in a certain area.
Oh, God, thank you.
From being on an endangered species list. It was ridiculous. It was a real sellout, you know. So I'm never going to vote for Bobby Rush again for voting for that bill. Now, you did have Randy Hultgren and Gary LaHood that voted no. Those are two Republicans that voted there, in Illinois. So.
And Ted Cruz actually, oh no, he wasn't.
Did Marco Rubio miss the vote?
Yeah.
He did that intentionally.
Oh,
Ted Cruz voted no also.
Ted Cruz came off the campaign trail to go and vote against it. So there you have.
But it was a pretty strong win, though.
Well, it was, most of the Democrats voted yes. A few like Luis Gutierrez voted no because they didn't give them more of a bailout to Puerto Rico. There's a little bailout to Puerto Rico because Puerto Rico is building up a deficit that's approaching what Illinois' deficit is. And Luis Gutierrez says we should bail them out completely, and he voted no on that. Otherwise, it was all the Democrats, almost all the Democrats voting yes, and half the Republicans in the Senate voting yes, and more than half the Republicans in the House voting yes.
It's interesting that Puerto Rico wants a bailout. Do you remember maybe 5 years ago or so, we had a military installation in Puerto Rico. It was a test center, missile test center, and the Puerto Rican people said that they don't want that military installation there. They don't want people doing that kind of stuff on their island. And so whoever the commander, the Joint Chiefs of Staff commander was at the time, closed the whole facility down. And when he did that, everyone's going with all the jobs. Well, that's what you get when you run us off the island. Now that was a big moneymaker for them. That's gone. Now they need a bailout.
Well, nobody said Democrats are smart.
It's unbelievable.
Well, there are 1, 2, 3. If you count Bernie Sanders, there are 4. They voted no against omnibus bill.
Bernie Sanders voted no.
Yeah, he did.
What was his reason? It wasn't enough bailout for Puerto Rico?
He sucks, but the point being.
Yeah, I did read it somewhere in here what his problem with it was, but now I don't remember what it was. Clearly, I didn't highlight it.
That's interesting, though, that he voted no.
Yeah.
He's very unpredictable.
He's interesting. People don't know his voting record, though.
Right.
He's voted the people who are voting for him don't bother to do the research into what he actually stands for.
Yeah,
Because people don't realize that you see he's running for the Democrats. Like, oh, Democrat. He's more of an independent. I don't like the guy. He's an idiot.
I think you're right, he is more of an independent.
He's left of Castro.
Yeah, I mean, he self-admits to being a socialist. So
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And he's talking about not better than 90% tax rate.
Yeah.
Well, I will say, I mean, I don't wanna go too far because I think the Republicans did pretty much give away the farm, but we did get a couple of things. They agreed to overhaul the visa waiver program. They prevented any new spending for Obamacare and blocked the Cadillac Tax.
But that was the blocking, temporarily blocking the Cadillac tax, is a favor to the
It was
unions.
actually bipartisan, yeah.
Yeah, it was the unions were absolutely outraged because it was gonna hurt the Democrats more.
Right.
So that was a giveaway to the Democrats, to correct the error that was going to hurt the Democratic unions.
You should probably explain Cadillac tax.
If your health insurance is so good, it falls under the Cadillac tax definition, you have to pay a huge tax on that Cadillac health insurance to help pay for all the other people that get a free ride.
Now, let's just put this in simple layman's terms. If you are able to get good health care, they penalize you.
Exactly.
That's basically
And they
what
make
it
you
is.
pay extra to support the people that
And,
at the bottom.
most of them are
fifths.
employer provided plans, so you have no control over what the plan is. And they're saying, okay, now you have to pay a tax on this benefit. It's not a cash benefit to you, but you have to pay a tax.
But you have to pay tax anyway.
Yeah.
And as, what's his name last week pointed out, if it were in fact a tax, then why didn't it start in the House? It
Right.
didn't start in the Senate. So it's not a tax, it's a penalty, pure and simple.
Yeah. Actually, this article does call it a penalty.
And the interesting
The
thing,
main thing that I will just say, the main thing that the Republicans got is the lifting the ban on crude oil exports. That's the main thing. They basically gave away everything else to get rid of the ban.
But that
on
just
oil
makes good
exports.
economic sense.
Of
The
course it
United
does.
States will make more.
Of course it does, but Democrats don't care about that. They've never cared about that.
it makes good economic sense for us to be able to deal with the oil situation as we're letting terrorists in and giving them apartments and food stamps.
Oh, yeah.
So do we really need the oil once we go back to roughly 500 BC? There's,
Start making oil
I
again.
read somewhere, somebody, it was on the internet, so it has to be
It
true,
must be true.
right? Gotta be true. That ISIS has gotten hold of some pocket nukes.
No, jeez.
Did
I
you see
don't-
that?
I did, but it is confirmed. It's not confirmed. It's just speculation. They said if they can, they will. Obviously, that'd come from North Korea. But
Yeah, of course.
Oh, North Korea. Let's be very careful because they're threatening us.
it's like, shut up. It's like,
And
do something or shut up.
They have no capability. Whenever they want to do something, they have to send China to do their dirty work.
Well, what they do have is a lot of people. They can all take a nuclear weapon, put it on their shoulders, and swim across the ocean and drop
They
it in
just drop
California.
They inspect 2% of the cargo coming into the United States.
Yeah, oh, that's.
North Korea or terrorists in Yemen, all they have to do is FedEx a package
Yeah.
into New York Harbor, and when it's opened up and the light sensor reads the light, it goes off, then vaporizes a cubic mile of city and sends out the radiation to the rest of the city. Well, you know where it came from.
That's true. And that, when I read that statistic, probably a year ago now, 9%, that's the exact number I saw, 9% of, and if you've never seen this, go to a harbor, or I guess you can Google picture one. Those containers that they put on the back of the semis, they call connexes, they're stacked 20 high. I mean, we're talking about, God knows, probably 1 million containers come into this country every month.
Yeah.
And 9% of them actually get inspected. And that, the question becomes, how well do they even get inspected?
Well, they include those 9% as detectors looking for radiation. And if it's shielded enough, you're not going to get
Put
it.
in lead, it won't,
Yeah.
it won't come out. It's, that's scary. That really is scary. And then what they do is they put them on trucks. They travel through big major cities. They travel everywhere, you know. You could just have some guy sitting around with a little detonator, and I don't know where it's gonna go off, but it'll be cool.
They can detonate it right on the ship before it's unloaded.
Sure, yeah.
It's in the harbor.
Yeah, that's, that is scary. But it's okay, because we're letting them in because we know they're all right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're refugees.
Oh, yeah.
They're refugees.
They're poor, sad refugees.
Interestingly enough, every picture I've ever seen of the downtrodden poor coming in, they're all like 20, 30-year-old males.
Yeah, they're all strapping young.
Well, there was one on the internet. It showed this ISIS guy in Syria, and he was smiling. He had a machine gun and all that. And then it showed the same guy, a refugee in Greece, smiling, but he just didn't have his AK-47. And some blogger found him with facial recognition software.
Oh, wow.
Same guy.
Yeah, now he's a refugee. He's already been admitted to Greece, you know, and with his variation of his last name.
Well, it's the same with the pictures of these, you know, these unaccompanied minors coming from South America through Mexico. You know, and then they show these pictures, and they're all these like tatted up, you know, 25-year-olds. They're all freaking gangbangers from Mexico and South America.
Yeah.
So yeah, unaccompanied minor, my ass.
I think realistically, I'm going to say it again, if Hillary gets elected, look how many of these people are already in the country. Can you imagine 8 years of that?
You did the tipping point. That's really what it would
You
come
would.
down to.
I don't know that you can recover.
And I'm not speculating with anything, but people have had enough of Obama. It's the way things are. But 8 more years of Hillary, where's the tipping point? How many more bombs do we need? How many Paris attacks do we need?
It probably would only take a year or two. I mean, it would be like 9/11 all over again, because, I mean, George Bush was president for like 100 days when 9/11 happened. I mean, it was, you know.
This is backtracking a bit. The thing that bothers me about bills in Congress, one, how do you need a 2,000-page bill? Nobody's going to read it.
You have to pass it first, isn't it?
It's as simple as that. Is you need the who, give me the what, give me the when, give me the where, and give me the why. Give me what you're going to fund, how you're going to fund it, why you're going to fund it. It's that simple. You don't need to attach bills on bills to get stuff passed. There should be laws against that. It would be too efficient to do that otherwise.
If they did that, no bill would ever get passed.
Wait a minute. They have laws like that in Illinois. You cannot pass an unbalanced budget. You have to pass a full budget that's balanced. And Madigan has ignored that for
Years.
12 years.
Yeah.
It goes back to accountability. That's like 40 shows ago.
But see, here's the problem. How do you hold, nobody can hold, well, you can hold it accountable, but you can't do anything about it. Madigan is Teflon. I mean,
You can't do anything because our attorney general, whoever the hell's in charge of the DOJ, is investigating the cops that arrested Clock Kid. Like, get real.
Yeah.
yeah. You know, all this leads us back to what I have said several times, and that is we, the people, elected Republicans to go and do a job, and they didn't do it. So some of them just outright lie.
Well, okay, all these people that are running for office, and especially in the federal government, their campaign hires experts and consultants that do focus groups and polling, and they tell the candidate, here's a soundbite you have to say, and you'll get elected. And they do that. And as soon as they get elected, they go out and start voting their own thing. And we all seen examples of that where they make promises, and it was one guy was elected in a special election in New York, Democrat filled in a Republican district, and he had got elected in a squeaker race by saying he's not going to vote for Obamacare unless they do X, Y, Z, and A, you know? And they swore him in within 24 hours of the election because his opponent conceded the election and it was a vacancy. And he was the voted for Obamacare without those changes. It was the set a record of 24 hours from the promise to the voting to break it. And I tell people, don't ever listen to what the candidates say. Look at their voting record to see what they really believe in, what they are done in the past. Look at the causes that they've supported in the past, because that'll tell you what they're going to vote for in the future.
How do you check someone's voting record? They've been in the legislature for 10 years. How do you check a voting record?
Yeah. You Google. Sometimes it takes you hours to research somebody, but you can find out what cause they've been behind.
There's a website called I Side With, but it's not partisan. It's not Democratic, it's not Republican, but basically you answer a series of questions. Economics, socially, they question you across the board. You can advance questions and you can get real in depth, and it will tell you who you most align with.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
There's also websites that aggregate votes, you know, that compile all that.
The American Conservative Union is probably the best.
Right.
They take key bills that really make a difference in the United States, and they track everybody's vote on that, and they give you a lifetime score. Now you get a score for like the last year or the last 2 years, but you look at a person's lifetime score. And there are some people in Congress that have a voting record of 0. They always vote liberal, tax and spend. There are 4 people out of the 535 people in Congress that got a perfect voting record with the American Conservative Union. Ted Cruz is one of those. A perfect record. John Anthony was appointed to a Illinois House District, I believe it's 95 in Morris. He got a Conservative Union score of 100 in his first term in office. So there are some good people out there.
You know, the problem we have today is this is a society based on instant gratification. Everything is instant gratification. And the single biggest complaint is that's not fast enough. So if you ask people, well, I got to use Google it and it's going to take you some time, they're not going to do it. They won't do it. So that's sort of the thing. I'm going to have to go check that website out. That's a good idea.
I'm a precinct committee. I spend hours researching everybody that's on the ballot for my precinct. I send out a sample ballot and I list the key thing for each candidate, the Republican and Democrat, what they really stand for on the ballot. I'm always 100% accurate because I put my name on there, my address, my phone number, and I have people say, we need your ballots. We don't have time to do all this research, you know, and we need that sort of stuff.
I do the same thing. I put together a voting guide for each primary, and I have in the past, I don't do it every time, but I have in the past put it on Facebook for anyone who wants to look at it, and I send it I email it to everyone in my church because they trust me and they know that I do my homework and they know that I know what I'm talking about, and those are really the main things that you're looking for in someone who is putting together a voting guide is, are your beliefs similar to theirs and do you trust them? That's really what you need to know.
We'll have to have you on again this year like we did last year, or for the midterms. Pick candidates and talk about them on the show.
Yeah, either the Sunday before early voting starts and or the Sunday before election.
Yeah, and we'll do that. There was some controversy in one organization that we turned to, and that you picked real conservative candidates. So it worked. Well, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
We don't like that. Basically, people should go to, what's the website?
The website's called isidewith.com.
isidewith.com.
Mm-hmm. And it's not just national elections either. I believe it goes down to like Senate and House as well, but I've only used it for like presidential elections. But yeah, it's basically does what Googling does for you. It just lists out what you match with them, and it'll give you
Based on your personality.
It'll give you percentages of, oh, you match with Ted Cruz 100%, you match with Hillary Clinton 0%.
I think I did that one and I got like Rand Paul and Raquel was making fun of me. I'm like, no, I must have answered like your question wrong.
But when you first get there, they ask you very like broad questions. They're like, okay, how do you feel about guns? Strongly opposed. Okay, you're like, all right, well, I kind of like guns, so I'll go this way. But you can get more in depth. You just have to hit advanced, and then it'll ask you like 7 very in-depth questions. Like,
yeah, you could say, I want to answer more questions. I want to answer less questions.
like, it'll get into like, do you believe in 30-round magazines? Like, what is your definition of assault weapon? Stuff like that.
No, I don't believe in 30-round magazines, not enough.
That's right.
Take them back to that.
No, it's a great tool. Not a lot of people know about it, and especially if you're kind of an undecided voter, you just don't know, haven't paid attention to what CNN or whatever the hell you watch has been saying. Great tool because you can find out within 5 minutes.
Tell them one more time.
The website is called isidewith.com.
isidewith.com. Cool. Is that his first name, Dot, or last name? No, it wasn't that funny, was it? No. Okay.
Fail.
So you want to go to the website to find out who to vote for, and we will have Mr. Ronkowski back in time for the election with his picks for people you should vote for. See? Good? It's good. Ron Target Radio, thank you. We'll be back next week with more red meat issues that affect your life.